Some people count sheep to sleep. Others recite state capitals, or hum the same 4 bars of a song on loop, or need their socks a very specific way before their day can even start. We call that quirky when we like the person, and disorder when we don't understand them. Autism sits somewhere in between. 6 very different stories, in fact, each with its own logic, its own hurdles, and its own hidden strengths. Here's a look at the different faces of autism and the people behind them. Autistic. Imagine walking into a grocery store and the fluorescent lights feel like they're humming directly into your skull. The cereal aisle's colors seem almost too loud to look at, and somewhere a cartwheel squeaks in a way nobody else even notices. For someone who is autistic, the world often feels wonderfully precise but overwhelmingly intense at the same time. They might find deep comfort in eating the same breakfast every morning, deep joy in knowing everything there is to know about trains or dinosaurs or vintage synthesizers, and deep discomfort in the how's the weather kind of small talk that feels pointless to them. It's not that they lack feeling. Often they feel everything fully. They just express it differently than expected. What they need most isn't pressure to act normal. It's space to be understood on their own terms and celebrated for the mind they actually have.
Rett Syndrome. Some journeys begin with typical development. A baby who babbles, waves bye-bye, takes her first steps right on schedule, and then quietly change course. Rett Syndrome, almost always seen in girls, often starts this way. Early growth that gradually gives way to lost skills, repetitive hand-wringing movements, and communication that becomes physically harder to express. It's not that the mind stops being present. The person is often still very aware, still recognizing a parent's voice or laughing at a familiar joke, even as their body makes communication more difficult. Underneath the visible symptoms is someone who still feels connection, still responds to warmth, even when words are hard to find. What helps most isn't assuming less is happening inside. It's patience, presence, and alternative ways to connect, like eye gaze boards or picture cards. Childhood Disintegrative Disorder. Some stories carry a heavier kind of grief. A child who once said, "Mama," built block towers, played peekaboo, and laughed at the right parts, before skills that had already developed begin slipping away, sometimes over just a few months. That's the reality of childhood disintegrative disorder, one of the rarest and most difficult experiences on this spectrum. It isn't caused by anything a parent did or didn't do. It's a profound shift in development that families rarely see coming, and one that upends everything they expected. Underneath the loss is still a child who needs love, exactly as they are now, not just as they used to be. What helps most is compassion without blame, and support built around who they are today. Pathological demand avoidance. Imagine feeling a wave of panic every time someone asks something of you. Even, can you put your shoes on? Even something you actually want to do, like going to your own birthday party. That's the experience often described as pathological demand avoidance. Requests, however gentle, can feel like a loss of control, triggering resistance that looks like defiance. Refusing, negotiating, suddenly needing to do something else entirely, but is closer to fear. It's not stubbornness. It's a nervous system that reads ordinary demands as real threats. They might negotiate, distract, or simply shut down, not to manipulate, but to survive the moment. What helps most isn't firmer rules. It's flexibility, choice, and requests framed in ways that don't feel like traps, like, want to put your shoes on now or in 5 minutes, instead of put your shoes on. Pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, PDD-NOS. Some experiences don't fit neatly into any single box. A kid who struggles to make friends and needs routines just so, but doesn't check every box doctors look for. They carry pieces of several patterns at once. That was the space PDD-NOS used to describe, for people who showed clear differences in communication or social connection, but didn't match every criteria of a more specific diagnosis.
It's not a lesser experience for being harder to categorize. It's simply proof that every mind doesn't sort itself into tidy labels. Underneath the uncertainty of a diagnosis is a person who still deserves support built around their actual needs. What helps most isn't a perfect label. It's care that responds to the person in front of you.
Asperger's. Imagine a mind built for depth. Someone who can tell you the exact release date, plot, and box office of every film a director ever made, but freezes up trying to figure out if a joke was serious, while everyday social rules feel like a language learned late. That's often how Asperger's was described: sharp intelligence and rich, specific interests, paired with social communication that took real effort to navigate. It's not coldness and it's not arrogance. It's a different wiring, one that often notices details others miss entirely. The one typo in a 40-page document, the exact shade a color shifted between two photos. Conversations about feelings might feel harder than conversations about facts, not because they don't care, but because emotional cues don't come as naturally. What helps most is patience with the differences and genuine interest in the passions that make them who they are. 6 different paths, one enormous spectrum, and behind every single one, a person who deserves to be seen fully, not just diagnosed. Understanding starts here, but it doesn't end with one video. If this helped you see something a little more clearly, hit subscribe. There's a lot more worth understanding together.